Well, good morning. Today I've got 5 shocking housing market trends that you need to be aware of as we end 2025 and head into 2026. Hey, if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Jason Ferrier. I am the housing nerd. I'm a realtor. I'm an investor in Central Ohio. And I do these lives sometimes, probably more frequently now as we move forward, to update you on the latest in the housing market. Is it crashing? Are we in a bubble? Is the bubble popping? What's happening in the housing market? That's what we're going to talk about today. And we're looking at the 5 shocking housing market trends. I think you're going to like this today. Before we get started, though, we need to talk about Veterans Day. I did not do a live this morning because I spent the good part of the morning anyway honoring some local veterans in my small community here in Ohio, and including my father, who proudly served in the Navy on submarines. So thank you, Dad. And my father-in-law needs to be mentioned too, who served proudly in the Marines. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. If you are an active member or a veteran, I'm sure the whole housing nerd community thanks you. I certainly do. My family certainly does. You are what makes a difference in the world, in our country, and without your dedication and, quite frankly, your sacrifice and perseverance, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today. So thank you. Now, let's get to these 5 housing market trends as we end 2025, because I think some of these are pretty, they've surprised me. Maybe they've surprised you. Number 1, inventory of homes for sale. We've got 17 states that are now above 2019 levels of homes for sale. 17. And so basically, you've got 33 other states where there are fewer homes for sale right now, folks, than we had in 2019. Now, the good news is all states are up year over year in the number of homes for sale. But I think it shocked a lot of people that it's taken so long for inventory to grow, and only 17 states above 2019 levels. What are those states? They're pretty easy to figure out, but we're going to go through them. Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Nebraska, Nevada, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Oregon, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Washington. They also have the District of Columbia on the list, but that is above pre-pandemic levels as well, but it's not a state, so it's not counted in the 17. So I guess 18 areas, 18 major areas, however you want to look at that. The other thing to look at is what exactly some of these states have done with inventory, because it's pretty eye-opening. So, for instance, in Arizona, they're up 37% compared to 2019 levels of inventory. So you've got 37% more homes for sale versus 2019 in Arizona. That's number 1 on the list, actually, as far as the most growth. Another one that, I mean, everybody knows all the Florida stuff, right? And people assume Texas, but number 2 is Tennessee, up 35% versus 2019. And this is data from Resi Club Analytics. Shout out to Lance Lambert. Another one on the list, Utah, up 24% versus pre-pandemic. Now, which states have fewer homes for sale than 2019? And some of these numbers are equally as shocking, maybe even more so. Connecticut, 69% below pre-pandemic levels. 69%. I mean, just think about that for a second. If you go all the way back to 2019, right now there are 69, basically 70% fewer homes available for buyers to choose from. That's probably going to not help affordability. Another one, New Jersey, 56% below pre-pandemic levels of inventory. 56%. And then Ohio, where I am, 27% below pre-pandemic levels of inventory. I mean, the facts are clear, folks. In much of the US, the majority of states in the US, we still have fewer homes for sale than we did in 2019, despite all the inventory growth that we've seen over the past year. In fact, that's number two, the number two shocking trend that you need to be aware of in the housing market right now are new listings. According to Zillow, new listings are up 3.3% year over year. Redfin has us at 4% year over year. What does that mean? Well, that's probably one of the reasons why only 17 states are above pre-pandemic levels with inventory, because new listings are so bloody slow. And that also means that there aren't a lot of homeowners that need to sell their property. The narrative of there's a lot of motivated sellers turning into distressed sellers. Well, I really can't think of a reason why. I can't understand why there would be, I can't draw the correlation, maybe you can, between 3.3% more people listing their homes than last year and a bunch of people in distress. Now, there's always homeowners in distress, sometimes more so than others. But make no mistake, and don't get it twisted, the average homeowner does not need to sell their property. If they needed to sell, they would have it listed. They wouldn't have it in the shadow inventory. They certainly wouldn't be doing like private Facebook sales if they needed to sell the property. If you need to sell a home, if you've ever had to sell a property or had to sell anything or had to do something drastic financially, you're not waiting. You're not waiting. You're not putting it in the shadows. You're going to put it on the MLS because everybody sees that. It hits Zillow, it hits Redfin, it hits Realtor.com. So the moral of the story is new listings are slow, and they've slowed down significantly. It's the facts. Number three, the third shocking trend. 28 of 1,000 homes changed hands so far this year. That means basically 28 out of every 1,000 properties is being bought or sold and going to a new owner. Just 28 out of every 1,000 homes. That's the average right now. What does that mean? It means that everything's slow. New listings are slow. We just talked about that. Inventory is not growing like a lot of people thought it would. And it's certainly not growing to the point that we're seeing massive price declines across the country and in most areas. So the slowness of the housing market can be felt right there in that stat. 28 out of every 1,000 homes. People, just for the most part, are not buying and they're not selling. Demand has not roared back into the housing market, although it's picked up a tiny bit. And supply is not roaring like we need it to. Although it is up year over year, it's not flooding the market with listings, and buyers are not rushing in to buy those homes. So it's just a slow market. In fact, home sales are only up 0.7%, according to both Zillow and Redfin. When I pulled the stats this morning, 0.7%. That's the increase in sales year over year. It tells me that people don't want to buy and they don't want to sell. Again, a frozen market. Kind of like it is in Ohio right now. It's cold out here. It's sunny, but it's a little chilly. All right, number four, the fourth trend you got to be aware of are home prices. And this is a shocking trend to me. A lot of people thought we would be down in home prices. I mean, you've heard pundits talk about a 5% drop in 2024 in home prices, a 12 or double-digit drop is going to occur in 2025. In fact, I heard somebody say that home prices would fall 12 to 15% in 2025. The truth is, the national home price, median home price now is up 1.7% year over year. The good news is it's not exploding 10% up year over year, but it hasn't fallen underneath 2024 at all yet this year. Will it happen in 2026? Maybe. But right now, home prices are still up year over year. I think that's kind of surprised a lot of people. And that's a national number. Obviously, real estate is hyper-local. So these 5 shocking trends could be completely different where you live. This last one, number 5, the 5th shocking trend, is kind of a combo trend. And I got this from Wolf Street. If you guys know Wolf Street is a website that posts financial insight and opinions. I'd encourage you to check it out. The person that writes all the articles, I think, is Wolf Richter, who does a great job, by the way. And I would say he leans bearish. He's a pretty big bear. I don't think he's a doomer, but he's definitely a bear. Normally his articles are about, hey, these markets are crashing. We're in a second housing bubble. We are doomed. But his latest article about mortgage delinquencies surprised me. And I think this trend is surprising. According to Wolf Street, delinquencies, mortgage delinquencies, serious delinquencies, those that are 90 days or more past due, are less than 1% right now, as of Q3 2025. Less than 1% of all mortgages and all HELOCs put together in one bucket, less than 1% of them are 90 days or more past due. And that would even include people in forbearance. At the same stat, if you look back in 2011, serious delinquencies on all mortgages were 9%. 9%. Right now, we're less than 1%. Back in 2011, during the Great Financial Crisis, 11%. I'm sorry, 9%. In 2011, 9%. Big difference. I think a lot of people had thought by now we would see a lot of serious delinquencies. I'm not talking foreclosures yet. I'm just talking delinquencies. People who are 90 days or more past due on their mortgage. Somebody forgot to tell them to not make their mortgage payment because a lot of people were making their mortgage payment. In fact, the latest data I read from mortgage bankers or mortgage from ICE, from Black Knight, said that delinquency rate actually dropped last month. It went down. So fewer people are late on their mortgage, not more now. Pretty shocking. But not to be outdone because foreclosures. We had in Q3, according to Wolf Street, 54,000 foreclosures. People in the foreclosure process. In 2010, it was 550,000. So 54,000 now, 550,000 in 2011. I'm sorry, 2010. 2010, 550,000, now 54,000. Now we all know that the government has extended and pretended, but a lot of that lately has been with FHA. And FHA only equals 13, 15% of the market, right? So there's a good portion of the market that is an FHA and has had no foreclosure moratorium in the last, couple years. And we're still seeing a very low number of foreclosures come through, although they are increasing. And so you are going to see headlines saying foreclosures increase 100%, 50%, 75%. But when you really look at the context and you come back, it's like, wow, not a lot of foreclosures compared to 2010. Way off from that number. But probably one of the things that I thought was most interesting about this article from Wolf Street was the comment made by the author, Wolf Richter. And this comment, I'm going to share it right now because I thought it was pretty interesting. I wasn't going to share it, but I'm like, you know what? I should probably share this comment. So this is the article I was talking about from Wolf Street. And this, I think this comment like sums it up exactly right on what people think should happen. And then Wolf comes back and says, well, this is the reality. And again, Wolf Street's a very bearish website. I mean, most of their stuff is like, hey, we're in trouble here. Like things aren't going well, like housing bubbles, credit crisis, currency debasement, anything doom is on there. But this commenter said, or this reader said, good report. We know how this story will end. There are already almost 500,000 underwater. When the correction really gets rolling, there will be millions. So this viewer, RC Whalen, whoever this guy is or person is, said basically, hey, there's a bunch of people. There's 500,000 people underwater right now. In their mortgage, meaning they owe more than their home's worth. When the correction really gets rolling, there'll be millions. And what Wolf said, I don't know that anybody could say it better. People who have a 3% mortgage or even under a 4% mortgage don't really care about being underwater on price. They're going to protect that mortgage like it's a gift from God. It's the people who bought at a high price with a high rate over the last 2 years. And this part, folks, is what everybody misses. And there aren't all that many of them. But even they will keep making their mortgage payments unless they lose their jobs for a long time and run out of money. And we aren't there yet. So I think this, I'll put the link in the description once the live's done, but I thought this comment and this response from Wolf Richter, which by the way is like the best name in the world. Like I don't know if that's his real name, but that's an awesome name to have for a social media name. This comment is exactly, and the reply is exactly what I think the exchange is from a lot of folks, right? You have one group of people saying, hey, we know the story is going to end like that, like it's going to end in doom because we've got this happening right now, because we have this happening, because there's a bunch of job loss, because the government shut down, because of student loans, because of auto debt, because of currency debasement, because of the BRICS nations, because of I can't even, there's just a million reasons why people will come up with as to why there will be foreclosures, there will be doom, there will be horrible times in the housing market. But at the end of the day, you got to read the facts, and the facts are clear. People with a 3 and 4% mortgage are hanging on to those mortgages. Like he says, it's a gift from God. With mortgage rates stuck at 6.5%, 6.3%, 6.2%, and refusing to come down, he's right. He's right. And that's why we're so slow in sales. That's why we only have 3.3% more new listings than last year. People were like, I'm not going to sell and get rid of my 3 and 4% mortgage. It'd be insane to do that. I agree. It would be insane, especially when people are staring down the prospect of a 50-year mortgage hitting the table. If you missed that episode, that was yesterday when we talked about the 50-year mortgage. Forget about it. Forget about it. So I can't help myself. I got to show you this next comment because I just saw this and thought, oh, this is funny. So the response to Rick or something Rick, the response to Wolf Richter was when he commented about why people are staying in their homes, and he's right. He's actually being correct. He's not, Wolf's not being a cheerleader at all. He's just stating the facts. This person, Doug, says, believing low interest rates are a gift from God shows just how delusional people are these days. Bragging about paying interest on something you can't really afford, such idiotic clowns. That sums it up too. Like, I mean, again, this little exercise there shows you everything you need to know about the housing market, about as far as sentiment goes, with people that want it to crash, even if they're not going to buy anything, and people who are like, well, no, it's not crashing right now. Anyway, I thought that was pretty funny, that last comment. I'm sure I could go on, but I won't. So what do y'all think about that? 5 shocking trends shaping the housing market right now. All right, let me get to some comments here. Tony Mack, what up? Good afternoon to you too. Stuntfish, how are you? What's up, Jason? Happy Taco Tuesday. Gotta love a Taco Tuesday. Yep, we having tacos tonight? I don't know if we're having tacos. We may be having tacos. Wanzi, what up? How are you? Wanzi, hi. Can you find stats on the percentage of mortgage applications prior to COVID that were single applicants versus joint applicants and compared to now? Whoo! I don't know if I can find that data. I'll star that comment and see if I can dig up something, but that's not something I think I have. Be interesting to know though. I feel like single incomes were able to pay for mortgage alone, and now it's 2 incomes to buy. With job markets taking hits, maybe this could play out. It may. A lot of people talk about the double income thing. I think that really kind of ramped up though. If I look back in history, I believe it ramped up in like the 70s and 80s. And that's why you saw home prices explode during that period of time, is what they're saying. I mean, historically, I've heard people talk about this. But yeah, I mean, look, it does come down to income, right? I mean, if people can't afford a house, like if they're in a house, they're making a payment, even if the payment's super low, if they can't afford the payment, they can't keep the house. I think what we're seeing though, is that if you look at some of these payments, it's windy out here. If you look at some of these payments people were making on these homes from like 2017, 2016, especially even like 2020, 21, when rates were really, really low. I mean, some of these payments are like under $1,500 a month. Some are under $1,000 a month. So if you're under $1,000 a month, I mean, I helped people buy before the pandemic, before things went nuts. I helped people buy homes as an agent. And I can clearly tell you some of their payments were under $1,000. And so it's like they could, some of these folks could work almost anywhere and pay their mortgage, or have enough in savings where they could pay the mortgage for the next 6 months, year. So I think that's what we're seeing. The payments are so low. Different than the GFC, where payments exploded because people had they had a negative AM loan, which means that the actual principal is going up, or they had an interest only loan, or they had a choose your own payment loan, like choose your own adventure book. Remember that back in the day? And they could pick their payment every month, like a little bit, a middle amount, and then what they should be paying. And they always pick that lower amount. Then those things reset and they got crushed because payments went through the roof. And I'm not talking because of property taxes, $100 a month. I'm talking $700. I'm talking going from like 1,000 to like 1,200. I'm sorry, 1,000. 1,000 going to like 2,200. 1,000 going to 2,500. and they own multiple homes. They got crushed. So I think that's the difference now. It's like, yeah, if there's some pain in the economy, okay, but we'll see it in the new listings. Juan, that's where we're going to see it. Like, and you'll see it locally. It's a great check on the health of the housing market locally. If new listings are exploding, then you know there's an issue. Right now, we're not seeing it. At the end of the day, people will have to, if they have to sell, they're going to sell. They're not going to keep it off market. At least what I've seen. Hey, from Las Vegas. What's up, John? How are you? I like Las Vegas. It's expensive there now, though, to travel. To me, way too expensive. I mean, I love it, but man, last time I went out there, I couldn't believe how expensive it was. But if you live there, it just seems like you do, I'm sure you're like, those are just tourist things, which I get. Woo-hoo-hoo, looks cold. Thank you for the sacrifice, for your sacrifice. Oh, I'm not sacrificing nothing. That's, I appreciate it. You're welcome, but I'm not a veteran and not active duty, but just sitting out here in the cold. This is what I can offer you all. What's up, Ma Deuce? Thank a veteran today. You're dang right. Yeah, it's cool. We had a little ceremony here in at the local high school here that my and middle school. They do like a veteran recognition, and so folks come in, they have like a breakfast and stuff, and then they recognize some people, and they have a graduate of the high school here speak, a vet, you know, who's usually active duty still, and it talks for a few minutes about what being a veteran means to him, or active duty means to him or her. And so that's pretty cool. It really brings it home. Probably the most shocking thing was the person that gave the keynote speech, though, or the MC of the event, was a high school friend of mine who's now a social studies teacher at the high school. And it's like, whoa, like, I, you know, everybody gets old, but man, I'm like, man, I played football with this guy, and now he's like a social studies teacher in a suit and a tie. It's kind of surreal. All right. That's the update I had today. 5 shocking housing market trends for 2025 as we head into 2026. What will 2026 look like? I'm putting together a forecast right now and some predictions. I'm going to gather forecasts from all the housing experts and put them into a list, and I'll do that video soon. By the way, if you want a deep dive into the housing market, like a deep dive, join the Housing Nerd and all the other nerds. I'm going to do these on Friday mornings for the national channel. I'm going to do these on Friday mornings. It's a deep dive into the housing market where we look at all the way down to zip codes that you request. So if you have a zip code you want me to analyze, jump on the live on Friday. I'm going to dive into tons of housing market data. We're going to look at what's happening, going all the way down to a zip code. So if you want that info, join us on Friday morning. And thank you to all the veterans out there. Like, subscribe, and share the Housing Nerd channel. And I'm the Housing Nerd, and I am out. OUT out. Have a good day.